Alrighty, welcome back, boys and girls. It's your main math man, Mr. Shank, coming to you live from Walker Grant Middle School. And in this video, we're just going to be going over that ordering those real numbers homework number 1. And we're going to still use that same strategy as always by, again, make sure you're writing your name at the top and yours alone. So then, just like we've been doing, we want to list those original form on the left column. In the middle column, we're going to write our decimals, and then on the right we will have the order in original form. And specifically for this one, what we're going to do is we're going to do some ascending order, so that means least to greatest. Alright, so again, for percents, again, you want to divide this value that is given by 100. And actually, before that, let's make sure we put in our decimals first, so that way we know they're lined up. Again, you always want to start with that way you don't make any mistakes. Alright, so if we divide 85 by 100, we end up with that 0.85. Again, only using one digit per box. When you take the square root of 8, again, you want to make sure you're at least doing the first couple decimal places, but you can kind of go out past that as well. So when you type in your calculator 8 and then square root button, you should end up getting that 2 and 0.82, and then just keep it going, 84. All right, and the last one we have here is going to be that 3 divided by 8, so it's going to be that 0.375. All right, so now again, we want to make sure that we are ordering, and so we said least to greatest. So we're going to take, again, that back of the calculator, a piece of paper in your hand, whatever works, and we're going to say, okay, line up furthest left column. And so out of these 3 numbers, which one is the lowest? Well, you can see that there's 2 numbers that are tied, right? We have a 0 here and a 0 here. And so we need to now move over one place value column, so that way we know, okay, I'm comparing 0.8 and 0.3. Which one is lower? We would say that 0.3, and then we would write it in original form, which is that 3 over 8. So let's go ahead and write that down. We're going to say that's that 3 over 8, 3 over 8. And we want to make sure that we cross it out. We don't want to cross it out too much, because we want to make sure that we can still see it, but we are showing that we already used it. Alright, so now, same idea. Let's make sure we can line it up. And so we say, okay, which one is lower, 0 or 2? Well, very simply, 0 is lower. And so we would say go directly to the left. And so we have the original form is going to be that 85%. And so we say, all right, 85% is our next value. Again, process of elimination, super simple. That way you are good, and that way you are accurate. Again, make sure you're just going one step at a time. And we said ascending order, we're going up that staircase, and so we are going from we're going from least to greatest. And to illustrate that, I'm going least to greatest. All right, so now on the next one, same kind of ideas. Again, make sure you're first putting in those decimal places for yourself. Get used to doing that. You have 3 values that you're converting to a decimal, and so we need to have 3 kind of rows in this grid. All right. And if you notice, hey, I have a negative, so what am I going to do with that negative? Well, you can kind of use that same idea. Just make sure that you include the negative sign on the far left side, just like you were writing it normally. So for instance, if I said, all right, I need to have 66%, well, I need to say 66%, and then so it's for every 100 is going to be, it's going to be that 0, make sure I can write it here, 0.66. But I need to make sure I have that negative in there. So I'm going to have negative on that far left side. All right, let me make sure that 0 looks perfect for all those tryhards out there. All right, there we go, a little bit better. All right, so now for this next one, you want to have, that's going to be that 0 negative point, and we're going to have 3 repeating. So now if you're saying, okay, well, what do I put over here? Well, you got to make sure that you're including, so this is going to be, let's say this is the same as 0.3 repeating, but make sure you're saying that it doesn't end, but it does repeat, so it can kind of keep going with that. And very simply, this one's already done for you, so you have that negative 0.45. All right. So now it says, let's see, it says in descending order. So we're going from now greatest to least. And so I can have, again, I'm saying the greatest the whole way down to the least. Gonna make sure that you're just kind of being very careful as you line up your columns, so on and so forth. All right, so I'm gonna line them up. I'm gonna say, okay, all those are tied, so I move over. And so now if I think, okay, where would these be at on a number line? So which one would be the furthest to the right on the number line, since I'm talking about the greatest? So which one out of these 3 numbers is closest to 0? And we would actually see that this negative 0.3, that's going to be the closest to 0, because now if you think about it, we'd be going, if you think of maybe a thermometer, we'd be going down that thermometer. And so we're going to say in original form is that negative 1/3. And so I'm going to write that down in red. So I have negative 1/3. And I go ahead and cross that out like so. Again, using that same idea, I'm going down that, let's use this one now. I'm going down that thermometer. And so which one would be the next step down? Well, it'll be that 0.45. So in original form is that negative 0.45, and so I can write it down. Again, make sure that you are asking questions, that way they are answered, and that way you are in the know. And for this one, last and least is going to be that negative and 66%. Again, you can cross them out as you use them. That way it's a nice process of elimination. All right, so notice how I went from greatest to least, or you could say the closest, or the most, or the highest to the lowest. I like to kind of think of that as that thermometer. I'm kind of saying, okay, well, I'm in the negatives, so I'm below 0. All right, last one on this one, and then we can be done. So we have, all right, so I have those numbers in original form. And then we say, okay, in ascending order. So I'm now going to be going up that staircase. So I have least to greatest. All right. So let's have those decimals first. So I have decimal, decimal, and decimal. All right. So now let's put these in. Again, I have a part. I have my whole number, and then I have my part on the side. So make sure you're writing the whole number first, and so I'd say, okay, this is going to be 2, and then I have the part, which I just changed to a decimal. So 1/2 as a decimal is that 0.5. So I have 0.5. All right. For that next one, I'm going to have that 6/4. So I divide 6 by 4. I have, this is going to be 1/2. It's going to be 1/2. And very simply, I have my 45%. And so I'm going to do, again, 45 divided by 100. So it's going to be 0.45. All right. You guys are getting the hang of this. Keep it simple for yourself. Again, line up your columns. And we say, okay, what is the lowest out of these 3 numbers? Well, we know that 0 is the lowest. And so that number goes with that 45%. So let's write down that 45%. So let's go 45, 45%, 45%, cross out. That way we show we used it. All right, it's now going, again, we're going from least to greatest, and so we'd say, okay, which one's the lowest out of these two? So we'd say 1 is the lowest, which goes along with the 6/4. Again, we say 6/4, cross it out, and we are good. Again, this is super, super simple. As always, be sure to ask questions and slam that subscribe button.